John Wall, a five-time NBA All-Star, once one of the fastest guards the game had ever seen. At his peak, he was dropping 20 a night, leading the Wizards and making highlight plays that left fans speechless. But today, even while healthy, he's being paid $44 million by the Rockets just to sit at home. His contract has been called the worst in the NBA, and his career one of the most heartbreaking what-ifs of his generation. This is the story of John Wall, a story that's bigger than basketball. From a childhood surrounded by crime and struggle, to becoming the #1 pick, to signing a supermax deal, to watching it all slip away because of injuries. The rise to stardom, the fall to rock bottom, and the fight to find peace. Back in 2015, when he was an all-star starter, a reporter asked him what he'd be doing if he wasn't in the NBA. John didn't even blink. He said he'd probably be dead or in jail, just like his father. That's how real his story is. And that's why this video isn't just about basketball. It's about survival, pain, and resilience.
John Wall's story starts with pain most of us can't imagine. His father, John Wall Sr., had already served time for second-degree murder before John was even born. Just weeks after his first birthday, his dad was arrested again for armed robbery. Growing up, John only saw his father on Sundays during 1-hour prison visits. At 9 years old, his dad was released early, but only because he was dying of liver cancer. A month later, he was gone. John held on to the Randy Moss jersey his father wore when he passed, a constant reminder of love and loss. That heartbreak filled him with anger, and he turned into a wild child, carrying rage that could have destroyed him before basketball saved his life.
John's story didn't start with highlight reels and NBA contracts. It started in the chaos of North Carolina, where drugs, guns, and violence were normal. With no father and a mom working multiple jobs, he had too much free time and all the wrong influences. At 13, he was breaking into cars, stealing, and getting kicked off basketball teams because of his temper. Kids called him Crazy J, and he lived up to it, fighting, cussing, and even exchanging bullets in the streets. Twice he was shot at, once he fired back. By the time his family moved to Raleigh, John was already on his third high school in 3 years. At Broughton, he showed flashes of greatness, but was cut for his attitude, so he transferred to Word of God Christian Academy. There, he was still a foul-mouthed kid who lashed out at coaches and teammates whenever a call went against him. His mom, desperate to save him, even kicked him out and sent him to a group home, hoping he'd finally wake up. This was the storm before the rise, the chaos that shaped John Wall's fight to survive.
Nothing seemed to change until the day his mother made the ultimate sacrifice. With only $200 left, she shut off the electricity in their tiny apartment just so she could buy John a new pair of basketball shoes and send him to an AAU tournament. For 2 days, they lived without lights, but John had his chance. If my mom was going to do that for me, he later said, I was going to make sure she was satisfied for life. From that moment on, he stopped wasting energy cussing out refs or getting into fights. Instead, he channeled his fire into defense, locking down opponents with relentless pressure, the same intensity that would eventually land him on the NBA All-Defensive Team in 2015. With that shift, everything changed. By his junior year, he was ranked the 20th best player in the nation. By senior year, he was #1, putting up 20 points, 9 assists, and 8 rebounds a game. But the past never let go so easily. One night, John and a friend were caught breaking into an abandoned house. It was his first felony, so he escaped prison, but the scar on his record followed him. Still, his speed was undeniable, a blur who could cover the court in just 3.5 seconds, and colleges lined up. John had options everywhere, but he only wanted to play for John Calipari, the coach who had just taken Derrick Rose and Memphis to the NCAA title. That season, he earned his first All-Star nod, even winning the slam dunk contest to put the league on notice. More importantly, Wall carried Washington back to the postseason. The arena erupted. The city believed. But in Game 7, he and the Wizards fell short. Even so, everyone saw what he was becoming. At 20, he worked harder than ever, fought through rehab, and by the 2020-21 season, he looked ready again. But the Wizards gave up on him. They shipped him to Houston for Russell Westbrook, a straight swap of bad contracts. In Houston, John walked into chaos. James Harden demanding a trade, a roster stripped down for a rebuild, a team destined for the lottery. Wall still showed flashes of greatness, averaging 20 points and 7 assists in 40 games. He proved he could still hoop, but he wasn't the same. The blisters and speed was gone, the defense wasn't there, and his jumper never became consistent enough to carry him. With a $44 million salary and a $47 million option next year, his deal became untradeable. The Rockets made it clear they'd rather pay him to sit at home than let him take minutes from their young core. Think about that. A 5-time All-Star, once the face of a franchise, now paid almost $50 million to do nothing. That's not just a fall, that's a collapse. And it shows just how brutal the NBA can be.
Legacy. When John Wall signed that Supermax in 2017, many critics said it was too much for a below-average shooter who flashed superstar talent but wasn't top 10 in the league. The truth is, the Supermax was designed to help small markets keep their stars, but more often, it's backfired. It eats up cap space, forces teams into impossible choices, overpay their franchise guy, or risk losing him for nothing. Wall became the poster child for that dilemma. But let's not forget who John Wall was at his peak. He was lightning in transition, a blur with the ball, blowing past defenders with his first step, creating shots for everyone else, and locking up on defense. At his best, his numbers were right there with pre-injury Derrick Rose and Russell Westbrook. To call his contract the worst of the century? That's lazy. Injuries and bad management doomed the Wizards, not Wall's effort or heart. If he'd stayed healthy after 2017, we might be talking about a first-ballot Hall of Famer. His career averages of 19 points and 9 assists, those are the same as Hall of Famer Isaiah Thomas. And even now, as people clown him for making $44 million to sit, his story isn't finished. John Wall isn't done. If he finds the right team, the right role, he can still help a contender. He can still prove he belongs. Because his rise, his fall, and maybe his comeback remind us of how brutal and unpredictable this game really is. So what do you think? Is John Wall's career already over, or can he still rewrite his story? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you enjoyed this breakdown, hit subscribe and check out our other NBA stories. We've got plenty more legends, heartbreaks, and comebacks waiting for you.